How about this? It's an awesome night in East Tennessee. CW Sports welcomes you to Bristol Motor Speedway. Tonight, it's the playoff opener for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and we're going to have some fun at this iconic short track. Here we are once again, everybody, in the broadcast booth with Parker Kligerman, who was on track last night in the Craftsman Truck Series race. I'm Adam Alexander. We're glad you're here, and we're happy it's the postseason. And tonight, it's kind of the balance, the pressure of the playoffs versus the physicality of Bristol.
And it does get a little physical. It's also physical for those drivers around this tight half-mile racetrack, the world's fastest half-mile, as they say, the last great coliseum, and you add in playoff pressure for so many of these drivers. They'll be counting points, and look how tight it is we go into this first round of the playoffs. Every position is going to matter to each one of these drivers trying to fight for a championship.
I'm not sure how much pressure there is on Connor Zilisch. #1 seed, 59 points above the cut line tonight, trying to set a record, going for his 5th consecutive victory.
And it's record after record for this driver. There's nothing he cannot do, but I think there's an ounce of pressure to keep it going, because now it means running for a championship. It's all to play for. He wants to keep this going as far as he can, and I think tonight that leads a little pressure on to say, yes, he's been great, but can he keep it up?
He's off to a slow start. He qualified 4th, which is unbelievable for him, because prior to qualifying today, he had started on the front row every time he had raced here in Bristol. So we look at the starting grid. On the pole, the reigning champ, Justin Allgaier.
Right, and 7 playoff competitors qualify in the top 10, and as you mentioned, our reigning champ, Justin Allgaier, is also the only driver in the field to win an Xfinity Series race here, and he starts from P1. Also, we've got 3 playoff drivers on this page: Quapple, Smith, and Sanchez. But how about Stephen Parsons? Found out he was driving this car yesterday, and now he has the 3rd best qualifying effort in the history of Joey Gase Motorsports.
You see there in row 10, Nick Sanchez, playoff driver. The only playoff driver starting behind him. They share row 11. Austin Hill, who enters 5 below the cut line, and he's next to Brandon Jones. I have high expectations for Jones. He's won at 3 of the 7 playoff tracks. And then you go those drivers that qualified outside the top 30. Biggest surprise for me is going to be the man Daniel Dye. And unfortunately for Daniel Dye, not a great qualifying run today, but what I would tell you about him, he was 13th here in the springtime, coming off a top 10 run last week. And now we talk to Harrison Burton in the playoffs, qualified 7th.
Let's check in with him. Hey, Harrison, it's Parker Kligerman in the CW booth. You got me? We'll try one more time. Hey, Harrison, it's Parker Kligerman in the CW booth. You got me? I don't think he hears us right now.
Battery's ignoring you.
He possibly is ignoring me, or they switched channels.
So let's call an audible.
All right,
We'll
that's
maybe
fine.
talk to Harrison.
Oh, even the team's trying to get a hold of him.
You guys are breaking up now. All right, Parker was just checking.
I'm glad that we decided not to talk to Harrison Burton, but you know who I'd like to weigh in now, Dylan Welch, because he's always got something to say. Good evening, Dylan.
Well, hey, Adam, and we'll double-check the 25 is all set on their radio issues, but I want to talk about Brendan Queen in the 11 tonight. Just a couple years ago, he was working as a longshoreman at a port in his home in Virginia, putting in 12-hour days while also chasing a late model championship at Langley Speedway. Was ready to quit racing, but a friend believed in him, invested in his future, and he's won at every step along the way. Every rung on the ladder that he's progressed up to, he's won. He's on his way to an ARCA championship later this year. Colleague has put him in the 11 car tonight. The goals are simply to run all the laps and learn. He's taken advantage of every step along that ladder. The next opportunity, Kim, is here for Butterbean.
Well, Eric Amarillo is back in the seat of the number 19 car for the 2nd straight week, but has not run an Xfinity Series race at Bristol since 2017. And he didn't miss a beat, though, qualifying in the 3rd position, his best starting position this season, despite having to reacclimate to the high banks of the last great Coliseum. Track position, key to earn stage points, which is a main goal for the team as they hunt for an owner's championship, and that's a little different approach than they've had for most of the summer stretch. Crew Chief Seth Chafka said they'd have to be a little bit more strategic with their decisions.
Kim, you were talking to us prior to the command about Jesse Love, 2nd-year driver, qualified 9th, and he's going for a championship. Here's their team radio before we go green.
Got a great car. You can do it tonight. Go do our job tonight.
Just execute, no mistakes. Use the bumper. We got to get stage points. Super important.
3 words very important to remember tonight. Execute, no mistakes. You can't win the championship tonight, but you could throw away a huge opportunity and put yourself behind the 8 ball. Aerial coverage for tonight's race presented by the Lucas Oil Helicopter. Allgaier wins the pole, takes the outside lane. I would say that will be a theme throughout the night.
Absolutely.
As we talk restarts. He's on the front row with Sam Mayer, who won our last short track race. 12 drivers, 7 races, 1 champion. The playoffs underway in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the 7 of Allgaier gets the early jump at Bristol.
And Connor Zilisch got really swirly there because they got the power down coming out of 4. I don't know what, maybe he got a shot in the rear bumper, but he got very sideways. Sam Mayer was able to slot into second.
And Mayer getting aggressive in that second position. And you have to be aggressive at this place.
Oh, just
line
up the
coming
track.
in. Look at that. Green and white 41 pushing through. 88 is there, Connor Zilisch.
We will see this track widen out tonight as we lay some rubber down, but right early, Connor Zilisch, the inside of Sam Mayer. You want to be locked on the bottom. Left side's painting that yellow line that's sort of blackened from all the rubber that's been run on it the last 2 days. And that sticky stuff they put down this racetrack is Sam Mayer super sideways there into 3.
And look at the bumper as we settle in. We'll highlight our playoff drivers in blue. You win tonight, you advance to the next round. That means your name will be highlighted in green. Something to follow throughout the next 7 weeks as we try to run down this championship. And look at that battle for 5th. 18 Williams Sawalich. He's got company from Ryan Sieg, a couple of non-playoff drivers making noise early at Bristol.
And when you're trying to run the outside right here, it's going to work on the X's you see for William, but when it's this early in the run, there's just not the grip up there compared to the bottom. The bottom's got all that grip because it's been cleaned off essentially, and therefore you just want to run on that bottom until you get the sense that the top is going to work for you. But right now for William, it's not, and it's just too early. That will happen. And when it does, suddenly it'll be like a light switch and everyone will transfer to wanting to run higher, but right now it's just not working from up there.
Rookie teammates for position. Give it to the 54 of Taylor Gray, who's up to 6th in the running order. Came in tied at the cut line. You talk about the importance of stage points. He needs to gather some up here tonight. Nick Sanchez not great in qualifying. 48 making a splash in the outside lane. And inside of him, 44 is Brennan Poole, and the 17 is Corey Day. Rewind to the spring here. Kyle Larson was driving that car. He was absolutely dominant. This the race, 17th, 18th, and 19th on track.
And Corey's continued to improve in that car, continues improvement in stock cars. Ran the truck race here last night, so got more experience on this racetrack. And I think he's done a great job. Didn't have the qualifying effort they probably wanted, but has continued to show great speed and improvement.
Look at Jeb Burton trying to push through. 21 is Austin Hill. Got those playoff drivers right behind him. Brandon Jones there as well. Look at Sieg making a move. Working over Eric Almirola in the 19.
I just love how you can see these cars moving around so much. That's what's so cool about the Xfinity Series car on this tight half mile that's super fast. You're doing about over 130 miles an hour down the straightaways and mid-corner speed over 100 miles an hour. So you're absolutely flying around here in these low downforce cars when you've got a caution out.
Whelen caution lights are on, and that's fitting because we had the Whelen onboard camera view. And the first yellow of the night is going to be for the 28 of Kyle Sieg.
Yeah, this occurred down the front stretch. So we get when we get a replay of it. There's a little bit of contact that we see at Bristol that occurred here, I believe.
'28 car, 28th in the running order. Couple of them getting sideways there.
Yeah, it's a little after the fact. It was really out of 4 and down the front stretch. Here's another look at it. So Leon Honeyman on the top side. Kyle Sieg gets into the right rear. That connects with Ryan Ellis and a bunch of cars sideways. Somehow they all got away with it.
Nice save by the 71 of Ellis there. Early caution, Allgaier leading at Bristol. The Whelen caution lights are on. Whelen, the official warning lights of NASCAR and America's most trusted manufacturer of emergency lights and sirens. Early yellow here at Thunder Valley. Justin Allgaier gets the jump. And as we anticipate the restart, looking at the choose, Allgaier once again takes that outside lane. This time it'll be his teammate Connor Zilisch next to him.
And the reason you choose the outside lane is just sort of where you restart is sort of in the banking, and it helps to kind of have the hill to your advantage on the outside there, as opposed to being on the inside where you have a lot of wheel in the cars. You try to get the power down, it's hard to get the power down, so the outside usually prevails, and then you get to the bottom as quick as you can once you clear the inside car.
Allgaier, by the way, has now led in 10 consecutive races at Bristol. You think he likes this place?
He's pretty good here.
Good way to open defense of his title. The field is set for the Echo Park restart zone. Echo Park Automotive, where car buying is easier, better, and happier.
Not a great restart by Justin Allgaier.
Not by Mayer either, right?
No.
Low lane going to be able to slide up in the form of Connor Zilisch. Seat getting after it down low. Almirola follows through, and trapped outside is Mayer.
That's exactly what Sam Mayer didn't want to have happen, but he clears them there off of 4 and
That was
turn 1.
good. See,
that was good, but you need to make it quick because the bottom's prevailing right now. You didn't want to get stuck on the outside this early.
Harrison Burton, great qualifying effort. We talked about it, 8th. He's working that inside lane. Nice perspective here, riding with Jesse Love, who's fallen back from a starting position of 9th tonight back to 13th.
Stuck on the outside right now this early, especially if you're not happy with your car. Just feels like you're bleeding time. You're trying to hear your spotter say, clear the inside so you can get down. That's exactly what he does right here behind Stephen Parsons, who had that great qualifying effort in the 35. And now you start to sort of assess your race car and just sort of try to take care of the tires and see where it goes on the long run.
Stephen Parsons not afraid, going toe-to-toe with playoff drivers. He gets Jesse Love, now inside of Sammy Smith. His dad, Phil, won the first ever Xfinity race here at Bristol, 1982. His brother-in-law, Sheldon, up there in front of him in the 00, trying to run down a championship.
That's so cool to see for Stephen. The limited starts to get to be up front, have this experience, such a great run for this race team. He ran the truck race last night, had a tire go down in the 3rd stage. But really cool to see him get this opportunity. He's worked so many jobs in the sport, been a spotter in the Cup Series. He's done all sorts of different things, but obviously has the skill behind the wheel.
Wears many hats every weekend, but when he gets an opportunity to race, he always seems to deliver. Slid out of the bottom groove, and that opens the door. Here comes the 2 of Jesse Love and the 4 of Parker Retzloff waiting in the wings.
Didn't quite clear Jesse Love there as you see the bottom prevail through the center of the corner. Then there's a bit of momentum on the exit from the top side, which is a bit of an indication as you'll see some of these drivers that are on the bottom to be assessing how does that outside line compare to what I'm doing on the bottom as we go on board here. Look at some of the telemetry of Jesse Love.
Even 2 lanes off. Still bumper. Still there.
Let's take a little ride with him.
Even lane and a half off. Bumper. There. Clear off.
You heard him actually spin the tires a little bit on the exit of 4 there as he was trying to stay below Stephen Parsons. Then was able to clear him eventually in the next corner. But it's that rhythm that you get into around this racetrack that's so key. And the hard part is when you get knocked out of that rhythm, when you catch traffic or whatever, it takes you what feels like an eternity, but it's 2 or 3 laps, because that's just, what, about a minute that it basically takes you to get back in that rhythm and start clicking off lap time.
Playoff standings are in. Sawalich in the 18, not a playoff driver, but he's got playoff drivers all around him. Harrison Burton, 25. 1 is Carson Quample. We talked about the 00 of Sheldon Creed. 8th, 9th, and 10th on the board, and all of them trying to hang in that position, maybe gain a few more spots with 55 to go stage 1. They want those stage points to help themselves in these playoff standings.
We see some of these cars moving the top, and I'm starting to see 3 and 4 come in as you look at that big run that Christian Eckes has on the outside of Sammy Smith. 1 and 2, not so much yet. They've really got to push that groove higher and higher to where you're almost at the wall in the middle. That's when the groove has really come in for 1 and 2, but you see the momentum that outside has. That's just going to get stronger and stronger as we run longer in this run.
Really good racing all around the track, but very comfortable out front for race leader Justin Allgaier. What's the story there, Kim?
Yeah, he was able to maintain that lead after the restart, but had a message for his teammate Connor Zilic after the restart. Take a listen.
Tell the 88 if you want to start the race, be the leader. Don't start up on the inside.
So there you have it. Should be fun to watch these two not only battle it out here tonight, but throughout the course of the playoffs.
Good advice.
I'm going to tell you what, if I was a veteran like Allgaier and a young hot shoe came in like Zilic has, I think it would bother me. It doesn't seem to bother Allgaier.
Not at all. He's a real team player. And when you hear him talk about, as we look back at this restart, where the outside prevailed, when he talks about this organization and the success they had, he doesn't just talk about the 7 car. He talks about all the cars at Junior Motorsports and how important it is for him to see everyone do well, because, you know, I think he's really become the elder statesman of that organization, and he's continued to break all sorts of records with them, set new records in this series with that organization. I think he feels partly responsible for their success, and therefore is proud to see these other Junior Motorsports cars do well.
When you think about all the wins that Allgaier has delivered for JRM, got him a championship last year, and Connor Zilic delivered their 100th win all-time earlier this season at Indianapolis. And now you look at most laps led all-time at Bristol. No surprise, the man that leads is Kyle Busch. But up to number 2 on that list in front of Kevin Harvick, Justin Allgaier, who has led the first 37 tonight.
That's some pretty good company.
I'd say that's an elite group to be with.
I wouldn't mind ever being on a list of those two.
You start on the pole, and then you get to choose which lane you start in. And you lead the race, you get to have lane selection. Allgaier said, give me the outside, and he's making it pay off. He's led every lap so far. This move was key to get him ahead of the curve and take advantage of the field. It's Justin Allgaier, the king of the concrete, who's out front right now in Thunder Valley.
Men, get ahead of your curve with a bump. Explore Peyronie's disease treatments at GetSomebody4PD.com.
Take a risk and make your power play by heading to your local lottery retailer to get in the game for Saturday's estimated Powerball jackpot of $50 million. Justin Allgaier leading here at Bristol, but his teammate Sammy Smith back to 18th. What's going on there, Dylan?
Yeah, they're having issues. Sammy thinks that the car is blowing up. They basically told him to give the vitals, which are all the gauges and everything in the car, and you see him, he's dropped to the bottom and is off the pace. He's lost positions here. They told him basically we're going to have to keep running until we see smoke or it starts to blow up. So they're trying to diagnose it. Everything happens so quick. Still trying to diagnose it as he goes around here. But on the radio now, it's getting worse for the 8. He is way off the pace.
Right, Dylan, you can see the smoke coming out of the pipes right there, and how devastating for Junior Motorsports in this 8 team. You just cannot put yourself in a hole in these playoffs, how tight it is. We saw this in the Truck Series playoffs. We saw this in the Cup Series with drivers having incidents and problems in the first race. And you think back to last week, the 1 car, Junior Motorsports, out of that race with an engine issue. Now the 8 of Sammy Smith. Let's take a listen to his radio.
Sounds like get a read on the gauges.
You know, you saw the playoff standings.
For a second, Phillips.
Came in 4 above the cut line, but a free fall now, unscheduled. Green flag pit stop. You're going to lose a ton of laps if you can even get back out there if you resolve the problem. And look at that. I mean, it was -9. It's gone to -20, and that's just going to continue as he sits idle on the pit lane and they try to figure it out. Meanwhile, left to your screen, you can run, but you can't hide at Bristol, the race leader in a bunch of lap traffic.
Right. Sammy Smith's team here is going to take a look at all the situation here with the motor, try to assess what's happening, potentially try to cool it down. And you mentioned the traffic. That's the thing about this place. Even when it's the leader, you catch them so quickly, and then they're running to, the high line and the bottom lane. So when you're Justin Allgaier, where do you go? You're just trying to assess each of these as you catch them and try to figure out exactly which, almost get in their brain and understand which lane are they going to choose, where are they going to go, and try to time that to get away from Connor Zilisch. But it's such a tough thing to work through traffic at this racetrack as the leader.
25 laps to go in the stage, 24 as they come across the start-finish line now. And when you're a driver that's in jeopardy of going a lap down, and you know the caution's coming, you either try to fight to stay on the lead lap or you try to hold the leader up so another car doesn't go a lap down, and when the caution comes out, you know you can get the free pass. So there is nothing easy for the leader. Even though the cars are slower, they will wrestle you for all you're worth in this situation.
To that point last night in the truck race, I did that exact thing. In the car I raced the hardest all night was the leader each time they were trying to lap us. So I know it very well. And it's to your point, it's what your job is. When you're Anthony Alfredo right now, your job is to try and stop that 7 from getting by you. If he does, then stay right with him or as close as you can to stay the first car lap down to get the free pass if the caution comes out.
Allgaier gets by Alfredo, who scored 25th. Blaine Perkins had already gone a lap down in this race. Closed captioning for this race is brought to you by Varo, the bank that puts money in your pocket. 11 laps to go. Stage 1, NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff opener at Bristol. Justin Allgaier leads. Connor Zilisch is second. Just before the break, Anthony Alfredo went a lap down. He continues to be the first car in that category. Next car to go a lap down would be Matt DiBenedetto. He'll try to hang on, and just in front of him, a few playoff drivers. So a whole lot of drama going to unfold at the end of this stage.
Right, Austin Hill, Brandon Jones, and Nick Sanchez, which means they're going to be pushing really hard here. It's just up the road from Justin Allgaier. Good for them as there's a bit of traffic as Corey Day is going around. Oh, and Stephen Parsons gets into him.
Second caution of the night. Comes out inside of 10 laps to go on the stage.
Yeah, 10-4.
They're running 13th on track. We talked about how great Stephen has been in the early portion of this race. What a great job he did in qualifying. And Corey Day coming off a career best first top 10 finish coming last Saturday night at St. Louis.
Such a shame for Stephen Parsons to have had such a great qualifying effort, the third best in this team's history. Just a second start this season in the Xfinity Series.
Sammy Smith behind the wall. Steering wheel undone, helmet coming off. What a tough start to this playoff run for him.
It's gut-wrenching because you just come in here with so much optimism, but let's take a look what happened here. Corey Day, that's Jesse Love on the inside. Just seems like Corey maybe came down on him a little bit. Jesse was as low as you possibly could be there. He gets spun around, and Stephen Parsons tries to avoid him, and it may seem late, but things happen so fast at this racetrack, and you're going so quickly. As we look here, just how they entered. Yeah, it's just got to give him the room there. Jesse was definitely squeezed down from Corey, and I think Corey was trying to adjust to the car on the outside at the same time, and there just wasn't enough room for the both of them.
And Brennan Poole was kind of on the other side of that in the spring, but he's able to drive by to the outside and avoid the incident. Perfect view here riding on board with Love. So here you go. You know, we're going to have pit road open here. Do you flip the stage, which would give you some track position when we go green in stage 2? But if you pit here, you might be giving up some stage points, and there are some drivers coming down. Here they are on progressive pit road, Dylan.
Sam Mayer has brought his car down pit road. His only feedback was really just that the brake pedal was squishy. That was his verbiage at the very beginning of this race. But I think that problem sorted itself out. Pretty happy with the race car. They'll change 4 tires and fuel, Kim.
As we look at Justin Allgaier about to make his stop, he said really good balance, just neutral entry, little tight center, free off. They're going to drop to the right side air pressure to give him more side bite. Middle of your screen, Ryan Seek just major complaint on a little free end. That's the only thing he gave feedback-wise. And then Connor Zilisch at the bottom there just need a tiny bit of entry security. Really close, though, he said, on balance. Maybe a little slow there on the Ryan Seek stop.
You picked pits based on how you qualified last week. #1 pit stall, Connor Zilisch, and he makes it pay off. The race off progressive pit road. CZ in front of Allgaier. Mayer, Sieg, and Gray hold serve. Now you evaluate the drivers that stayed out. Among them, Harrison Burton, who was 9th. He doesn't pit here. He'll give up a ton of track position when he pits after the stage is over. But when you're in his position, you want stage points. You stay out, you get some track position, and maybe you can steal some on what's going to be a run less than 5 laps to end the stage.
And if you look at their regular season performance, they were great at finishing races, but the one area they lacked compared to all their competitors in the playoffs was stage points. They severely need to get stage points to make a statement by getting stage points here. They did the first part of that job, which was qualifying well. They were in the top 10 here, but they're going to take this risk and try and get even more stage points. I think it's a good risk to take.
Harrison came in below the cut line, now above the cut line. Other end of the spectrum for Sammy Smith, came in +4, done for the night. And the body language tells the story for the driver out of Iowa. Jesse Love also stays on track. Everyone else pitted, so 2 drivers stay out. This is huge because, you know, you're only going to have a short run. And it's nice to have the track position and control of the restart, but the problem is those fresh tires and fast cars going to be right behind you. They wanted a bigger buffer here than what they got, no doubt.
Well, the best news for Harrison is that at least he has Jesse Love.
That helps.
Most likely be on the inside if he takes the outside. Kim, you have more on the 2?
Yeah, Danny Stockman, the crew chief, came on and told his driver this was the only way we could get stage points. I don't like the call. You're just going to have to hang on, buddy.
Doesn't like his own call.
This restart's going to be wild. And Sheldon Creed, unfortunately, made a pit stop, and they're going to have to drop to the rear, speeding when he came down the pit lane. You know, we talked about it off the top. You can't have mistakes. You can't have issues. You know, we see what's happened to the 8 of Sammy Smith. Engine problems there, and now a self-inflicted wound for Sheldon Creed, who has the speeding penalty and is going to lose a ton of track position. Was inside the top 10 prior to the cycle of stops there. Well, the Whelen caution lights are on. Whelen, the official warning lights of NASCAR and America's most trusted manufacturer of emergency lights and sirens. The opening stage, only 85 laps, 3 to go, and it's been entertaining, a whole lot going on.
We've seen the Whelen lights a couple times.
Yes, we have.
This is going to be a really interesting finish here with the 25 Harrison Burton, the 2 of Jesse Love staying out on those older tires. We've seen this work before at Bristol. In just a couple lap sprint, that lead car can possibly get away. For Jesse Love, this is going to be incredibly tough, starting on the bottom, older tires. He's going to have to do his best not to get swamped by the 7, the 88, and everyone behind him.
And Connor Zilic gets that outside lane because he won the race off pit road. That was big for him. Could take control of the race here. So watch that battle as well as everything cycles through to begin stage number 2. 2-lap sprint to finish the opening stage. And the field is set for the Echo Park restart zone. Echo Park Automotive, where car buying is easier, better, and happier. Harrison Burton, Jesse Love, old tires, front row.
Oh, Harrison got a little sideways there with the tap from Connor Zilic. Oh, and he didn't get the best restart. Jesse Love takes the lead here, but the 7 of Justin Allgaier is already to the bottom.
Allgaier looking low, little wiggle, coming off the corner, 1 lap to go in the stage. Love might hang on here.
Ryan C got super sideways out of 4. Jesse Love up the track. Justin Allgaier takes the lead back, and Connor Zilic as well.
Allgaier to the lead, Zilic to second, 3 wide for third. Burton squirts through, Sam Mayer is there. Stage 1 goes to Allgaier. Zilic is second. Burton able to get big stage points in third. Love hangs on to the top 5 as Mayer got that 4th spot.
That was chaos, but I'm not sure how Ryan Sieg didn't wreck the entire field. He was absolutely sideways in front of the field. They were 3 and 4 wide behind him, and somehow they got away with it.
Justin Allgaier gets his 11th stage win of the year. That's best of all drivers. I thought it was going to be Jesse Love, who has the lead, but there he goes on those older tires, and the 7 takes advantage. CW Sports coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series is brought to you by Progressive. Save when you bundle home, auto, and motorcycle insurance. Visit Progressive.com. GoodRx. Save time and money on prescriptions. Check GoodRx. And by Credit One Bank, NASCAR American Express Card. Stage 1 complete at Bristol for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Let's get a report from Dylan Welch.
And Sammy Smith is out of the car and done for the night. So heard the motor issues, but how do you sum up the disappointment of being done this early?
Yeah, Dylan, it's very disappointing. It's a tough way to start the playoffs. Unfortunate situation with the motor, I think. They haven't really quite said, but yeah, HMS did such a good job, and it's just a fluke deal. So very disappointed for our pilot Chevrolet JRM team. We work so hard, and to not really have a shot, it gets frustrating. So yeah, we'll just have to do our best the next 2 weeks of the playoffs, and we'll see.
Yeah, they'll head to Kansas with some work to do. Spoke with the team. It sounded like a freak head gasket issue. They had a water leak in practice, and not entirely sure if it resulted from that or not, but just kind of a unfortunate event here that takes the 8 out of it.
You know, Parker, you referenced Carson Kvapil last week. This is just the 4th engine-related DNF for JRM in the last 4.5 years, and they've had a problem 2 weeks in a row. So, you know, it's worth noting, and could be two totally unrelated things, and there's nothing to draw conclusions from there, but something to keep an eye on, certainly when you have a couple back-to-back like that.
It's a tough pill to swallow, and he's in a hole right now, but I can tell him from experience, you can possibly transfer. It's just going to take a lot and a big effort.
And you know what? Other drivers could have problems as well. It seems to happen in the playoffs. Progressive Pit Road is open. Harrison Burton in, Dylan.
That's right. They say they finish 3rd there and get those valuable stage points. Harrison's feedback was that his car was in a all-4 tire slide, but was a tight condition is what he was battling. So you saw the small chassis adjustment they made there. Also made a small air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. And as we said, stayed out there when the others pitted just to try to get those stage points for the 25. Here's Jesse Love in, Kim.
Yeah, we saw him get a little squirrely, lose some positions there at the end of the stage. At first he thought it was a tire issue. Then he said, no, maybe he ran through a big patch of rubber buildup. He said, I've never felt something like that before. You see the chassis adjustment. That's because he cannot get off the corner. Just needed 2 numbers tighter on the car, especially since he'll be in traffic. Danny Stockman, the crew chief, said, no holds barred here. When we go green, you have got to go, so we stay on the lead lap.
That's a great point, because anytime you lose the track position here, as good as those guys have been out front, you can find yourself with a leader breathing down your neck. How about Justin Allgaier? 13 career stage victories in the playoffs. That's why he's the champ, and doing it once again with all the money on the line. He's the leader as we get set for stage 2.
CW Sports coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series is brought to you by Blue Chew. Go the extra mile with Blue Chew.
Getting ready for stage 2 at the world's fastest half mile. Entertaining opening stage, and now the Chews. Teammates going to share the front row here. I was curious to see how Zilich handled that.
Yeah, I think that in this situation, we know the top is a little better, but we've seen the bottom there be able to slot into second. And you want to give yourself the chance that if there is an issue for the leader, you're obviously in the best position to strike.
6 playoff drivers in the top 10 for the restart, 6 outside the top 10. We look at our playoff standings. It's always going to change a lot, but you go over to the cut line, you think about the strategy that's played out for Love and Burton. All that will cycle when they gain some spots. Hill, despite the fact they haven't been great, only 11 out, going to restart inside the top 15 here.
And I think that was, we'll start to see as we run through this stage here, as they get in better position, how that worked for Harrison Burton and Jesse Love and how smart that move was to go for those points.
Restart's always fun and always significant. You want to take control. Allgaier's had control a lot tonight. Here he is dancing through the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone, 7 on point again.
He's had great practice as the leader on these restarts and doing a great job once again to be able to clear the inside and jet off there on the bottom.
Mayer, second row outside lane, trying to make it work into 41. 39 has been there all night. Oh, look at Zilich. Hang on in the 88. He does. What a show from CZ, falling from second to third.
And somehow Tin slots back into third, pass on roll there, wrapping the bottom. And usually when you do that sort of thing, it absolutely heats up the right rear tire and kills the right rear grip. Somehow he gets away with it and slots right back into third and on the back bumper of Sam Mayer.
His teammate tried to follow in his footsteps. Quapple was getting sideways as well. Battle for the lead. Mayer is inside of Allgaier. And right behind him in their hip pocket is Connor Zilich, 88, just waiting for his opportunity.
And Sam really wanted to get there. You can see how aggressive he was. He's able to just clear there. The Justin Allgaier on the bottom. Little wiggle in the 3, but now setting his sights to drive away.
Short track sensation Sam Mayer leading at Bristol. He won our last short track race at Iowa last month. And as he goes to the lead, 88 of Connor Zilich trying to get second away from his teammate. Here is that incredible save.
I mean, it says absolutely sideways. You can read the side door numbers down the front straightaway.
Wow.
Laid the tire marks on the track. That's incredible.
Top 3 playoff drivers, and we'll highlight those playoff drivers throughout the postseason in blue in our bumper. Other drivers in the top 10 going for a championship. Quapple back there in 6th, Gray in 8th, Sanchez from 20th to 10th in this race.
What did Sam Mayer tell us about these 3 drivers at the front last week?
The big 3?
He called them the big 3. Right there, there they are, 1, 2, 3 at the start of the playoffs here at Bristol.
He spoke for everyone. It was self-proclaimed.
It was self-proclaimed.
It didn't come from us.
No. See Harrison Burton there, Dean Thompson run the outside, Nick Sanchez on the outside, trying to work this in a little bit earlier and earlier as we go into the night as they try to make up positions here. As you're earlier in the run, you'll even go to the outside and you know it's not quite working, but you're trying to just run in as quickly as you can. You might just be forced up there and not able to get back to the bottom, so you just sort of lament to the fact that you're going to have to try and run in that outside and start to see when it gains on the bottom.
Hey, at Portland, top 4 were rookies. Last week at St. Louis, top 3 were rookies. By my count, we've got 6 rookies in the top 10. Isn't Bristol supposed to be for the veterans? Isn't it supposed to be challenging? These first-year drivers came to play tonight. 4 of them right there. 1 is Quapple. Dean Thompson, 26, 54 Taylor Gray, and just behind William Sawalich, who was a runner-up in the last 2 races.
And we've seen it all year. It's hard to remember some of them are rookies, just how well they've run at a variety of tracks, consistently qualified well. It's been all sorts of records set by these rookies, and I think that's what's made this rookie class so incredible is you have really good runs by a lot of these drivers, great rookie seasons, and then there's Connor Zilich, who's just set the bar so high.
Dean Thompson really at home at Bristol, top 10 in the spring and getting it done again tonight, Dylan.
Yeah, they are rolling, and we'll give you a Toyota driver update on the Sam Hunt Racing number 26. They admitted qualifying is not Dean's strong suit, but they knew he was going to have a good race car, and he is delivering on that. They felt like long-run speed was their strength, so to see the speed they've got here after this restart, I think is really encouraging, but felt as good about this race car as they did about the one that did finish in the top 10 here in the spring. He felt a little bit free all the way around the racetrack before that last stop, but they didn't make any adjustments. The track was going to tighten up as they expected, and that was the right call. They are flying in the 26.
Love to see that. Both the Sam Hunt's Toyotas were top 10 here in the spring. Corey Heim was driving the 24. And look at this battle for the lead. All playoff drivers, all drivers that have won this season. Mayer in front of Zilich, in front of Allgaier, but anybody's guess how the last 50 laps of the stage will go.
I think this is such a statement by Sam Mayer to get the lead from these junior motorsports cars, which have really dominated the summer portion of this season. We know the win for Sam Mayer came in Iowa, and he was really fast there. But I just feel like this is a big moment for him to get to the lead in the way he did after the adjustments to that pit stop and to try and control this race.
We look at the top three, and we mentioned the fact they're all going for the championship, and we really have playoff drivers scattered all throughout the field. So our Copenfy onboard camera, Mayer's bumper looking back at Zilich, who's playing with his line. Allgaier painting the inside lane. And so we go back to these playoff drivers that are trying to come from behind a little bit. Sheldon Creed had the speeding penalty, but he's doing okay coming back. He's 15th. Austin Hill does not have a great race car, 16th. And Harrison Burton, who stays out to get the stage points. You give up the track position, but he's already working his way through. Was outside the top 20 prior to the choose, racing for a spot inside the top 15. 25's got some good speed.
Yeah, up 7 positions since the restart. This has just been a really impressive day overall, from practice to qualifying for the 25. They've just shown great speed. The first stage was great. Love the call by Danny Eflin to stay out there and get those stage points, something that they've lacked most of this regular season. They've been one of the most aggressive teams in trying to manipulate the stages to their advantage, whether it's staying out or possibly pitting early and putting on a set of tires and risking not having those later. Danny Eflin and that team have done a great job of trying to maximize those stages, and they did that here tonight.
50 to go. Stage 2 at Bristol. Mayer is out front. You see the points as they run. Look at that cut line. Going to be a story for the next 7 weeks. Sanchez +3 over Burton as they exchange spots. This Tuesday, former NXT champions turned WWE megastars invade the CW. Rhea Ripley, Stephanie McCurr, Tiffany Stratton, Carmella Hayes, and more return for an NXT homecoming. Don't miss a very special NXT Tuesday, 8/7 Central right here on the CW. We're live in Bristol. Closed captioning for this race brought to you by Varo, the bank that puts money in your pocket.
Some of those slams you saw there is how many of these drivers will feel after this race when they wake up tomorrow morning. This place beats you up. It's one of the most physical racetracks there is on the calendar because it feels like you've been in a washing machine after you've done 300 laps around here. Just beats you around. The joints in the concrete surface batter your head between the headrests, and it's just a really physical racetrack.
I can't relate, never done it, but I can only imagine. But then I go to the other side, and that's the mental process of racing here and dealing with lap traffic in the constant in the corner, off the corner, in the corner. I mean, you have got to be absolutely worn out mentally when a race is over here.
You are, and it's also just balancing your race car in each corner, and as we talk about rhythm, getting knocked out of your rhythm, then having to find a way back into that rhythm is really tough, and you're constantly assessing where the racetrack is, where it's moving groove-wise, if you need to be up top or on the bottom. You're doing all those things simultaneously within a 15-second lap, so it's just an incredible amount of things happening within a very short amount of time.
Going to be 30 laps to go, second stage. Top three just can't get away from each other. Mayer leading Zilich and Allgaier. Allgaier's led 95 laps tonight, won the opening stage. Zilich won the race off pit road when they made their pit stops there prior to the end of the stage. Cycled through to second. But it's been this trio so far that has dominated stage number 2.
I was just going to say, I'm surprised none of these three have really tried to move up the racetrack here. It leaves them thinking that Justin Allgaier shoots to the top side in 3 and 4. Now the same in 1 and 2. He's going to lose a little bit of time, and that's normal. When you go to the top side here, it changes everything that you've been doing. You have to drive further in the corners, let the car turn, then try to get back to the throttle earlier than you would on the bottom. And it takes you a lap or two to get into that rhythm of running the top side. We'll see if it eventually works for Justin Allgaier.
Here's the other thought. He's got a full second advantage over 4th place Ryan Sieg. So he's got a little room to play with here. Good time to try something different when you're running 3rd. And now we go ahead. Let's look at this battle.
I know.
Heck is there, but behind him, we got to celebrate the comebacks. Creed, I mean, Jones is in that mix, been in that position for a good portion tonight, but Harrison Burton on the comeback trail as well.
This is great to see and really impressive as he's shooting the bottom now, and that's what you'll do if you've been running the top side and you didn't come across 3 cars like this all running the top side. You only have one option, and that is to go somewhere they're not. That means running the bottom and trying to make that work. Even if it's not the best place for your race car, it's the only way you're going to be able to make a pass here by going to where there's just clean racetrack, essentially. You'll use the top side maybe to get that run and then shoot to the bottom when you can.
Hey, Jeremy Clements has welcomed himself to this party as they fight for position and no one can make a move, maybe being held up a little bit by that 16. Jeremy Clements has reeled him in. He's now on the back bumper of Harrison Burton. Clements, the veteran driver from South Carolina, in a year going to become the all-time leader when you talk about starts in the Xfinity Series, and has been really good at Bristol. A lot of top 15 finishes here for that team.
And what's so cool about Bristol is we see this often when we come here in the Xfinity Series is smaller teams, maybe not the newest, latest, greatest equipment, can run really well here. And it's just the nature of this racetrack, how tough it is, how dynamic it is, how much it changes, and how quickly that happens. We see teams like Jeremy Clements be able to compete higher than they normally do just because of the nature of this racetrack.
8th, 9th, and 10th, all rookies. Sawalich, Gray, and Sanchez. 2 of them playoff drivers.
And you were talking about Justin Allgaier having that gap to Ryan Sieg that allowed him to sort of move and try different lanes. And that's a great point, because when you're in these tight packs, as William Sawalich looks at the bottom, his teammate Taylor Gray here, not able to clear. He'll have to get more momentum. You're constantly having to evaluate, do I want to try and make this move, or am I going to put myself in position to then lose another position behind me like Nick Sanchez is going to try to do to William Sawalich by going to the top side and not allowing William back up to the high side.
20 laps to go, stage 2. It's Mayer out front of Zilich and Allgaier. Sieg, Almirola complete the top 5. Great battle for the race lead as we hit 8 laps to go. Stage 2 at Bristol. Mayer in front of Zilich, and they are getting after it, and a whole bunch of lap traffic in front of them.
Right, if you're Sam Mayer, where do you go here? You've got cars 2 and 3 wide ahead of him. Connor Zilich breathing down your neck, and look at all these lap cars. They're going to fight as hard as they can not to go a lap down to the leader. They're going to want to hold him off, and he's trying to hold off Connor Zilich at the same time.
Some of these drivers are multiple laps down. The one to focus on right now, 42 of Anthony Alfredo. He's the first driver 1 lap down. That gray and red machine, the 99 of Matt DiBenedetto, also 1 lap down, trying to stay on the lead lap. Mayer goes high and gets around him 3 wide. This is dangerous,
wow.
But Mayer makes him work.
Somehow the seas parted for him right there. As they all went to the bottom, he went to the top, and it worked out. Connor Zilich wasn't able to really cut into that lead much more than he already was. But
5
now
to go.
Sam's got to find a way past the 24 here, and of course the 32, who are side by side in front of him. Sometimes the leader can even shoot through the middle here if he diamonds down in 3 and 4. That's a really risky move.
Gets around both the 42 and the 99, putting Alfredo and DiBenedetto a lap down. Next car he'll see to put a lap down, Parker Retzloff in the 4, but he's got some cushion, some cars multiple laps down. In between he and race leader Sam Mayer, who's trying to hang on and win the stage. Going to be 3 laps to go this time by.
And he's wearing green gloves. You can see his hands working inside that race car on the exit of the corners, working that wheel as he slides the right rear. As he goes down into turn 3 right now. He's running for everything he's worth inside that 41 car, trying to hold off Connor Zilich here.
2 to go in the stage. Sam Mayer has led more laps tonight than he'd ever led in a race in his career, but he might lose the top spot. Zilich looking inside. The lapper of Jeffrey Earnhardt is there.
That got so tight right there as Sam tried to go below Jeffrey Earnhardt at the same time that Connor Zilich was down there.
Final lap, stage 2. Zilich looking high, gets to the outside of Mayer. Here they come to turn 3. Who's going to win the second stage at Bristol? This is going to be awesome. Outside lane, give it to Zilich. The rookie continues to deliver highlight reel moments. Unbelievable for 88.
That was awesome, and Sam Mayer was in such a tough position. He wanted to probably be on the top because he knew the momentum that would happen there, but there was the lap cars up top. He wasn't able to go there. He chose the bottom, and Zilich shot through the middle there and got the momentum.
Stage sweep for Junior Motorsports. Stage 1 to Justin Allgaier. Stage 2 to Connor Zilich. And he delivers in dramatic fashion his 10th stage victory of the campaign. And he does it like this, going around Mayer to the outside, 1 to go. Oh my goodness, was this impressive. Ride it out off of turn 4 and give me another green and white checkered flag.
Absolutely awesome.
Pit stops come your way next. CW Sports coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series is brought to you by Golden Corral. Golden Corral honors our nation's heroes. Toyota, let's go places. And by Bristol Myers Squibb. 2 stages in at Bristol. Let's get our golden moment brought to you by Golden Corral. Great racing into stage 2.
It was an awesome battle between Connor Zilic and Sam Mayer. Here as they tried to navigate through traffic, Sam got caught forced to the bottom because the lap car, the 24, that allowed Connor Zilic to get to his outside with the momentum off of 4 and win the stage. Very cool battle at Bristol.
You know, those two have been in the top 5 all night. So is Ryan Sieg, and you might have remembered we were side by side there toward the end of the stage, and he had a problem, had to make an unscheduled stop, loose wheel. They felt the vibration, so they come down and change it. He goes from the top 5 to 2 laps down in nearly 30th. 29th is where he's being scored right now.
And it's kind of indicative of their season in a lot of respects.
Totally.
They've had the speed many times throughout this year, but just stuff has caught them out. And I know this year has been disappointing because of all they put into it, and that's just another example of catching them out.
Free pass, Anthony Alfredo. Progressive pit road is open and about to be really busy. Here's Dylan.
Dean Thompson and the Sam Hunt Racing Group continue to have another strong Bristol run. Dean said the car was all good, leave it alone for the 2nd straight stop. Finished 6th in that stage. He'll change 4 tires and add fuel. Sam Mayer also said his balance was good. He's just lost overall grip at the end of each run just due to the tires wearing out. No changes, but they are still concerned about their brakes a little bit. Sam's been on them a lot. The team sees it every time he goes by here, so they're just monitoring that on the 41, Kim.
Eric Almirola, top of your screen. Balance much closer that run than stage 1. He still couldn't trust the right rear, though, for most of the run, so they make a slight adjustment to give him more rear security. Justin Allgaier, the middle of your screen, really free and tight middle. They debated a chassis adjustment. Ultimately, they just stuck with air pressure, and then Connor Zilic there at the bottom finishing up his stop really close. He just needs a little more cut leaving the corner. His biggest complaint, he said, such a battle for clean air.
Race off progressive pit road, not close. Zilic takes care of it. +1 for Allgaier, who jumps in front of Mayer. Almirola comes off 4th, +2 for Taylor Gray. The kid's red hot. What can he do? Well, he had never won a stage at Bristol until tonight.
Oh, of course.
Check the box. 88 in charge when we return for the final stage.
To help East Tennessee Foundation's effort and help support East Tennessee families through the Neighbor to Neighbor Disaster Relief Fund, you can help by scanning the QR code right now below. And of course, welcome into the CW Garage as we are getting ready to go Stage 3 at Bristol Motor Speedway. And it's a great time after we've got 2 stages down to go over the playoff picture, brought to you by Bristol Motor Squib. And man, take a look at this. Look at the cut line. Austin Hill was in the championship 4 last year. He's 12 below the cut line. But how about Taylor Gray, 4th? Brandon Jones in 5th, and then of course Justin Allgaier and Connor Zilic leading the way. And Connor Zilic entered with the most playoff points of all time in this playoff, and his win percentage also very high, the best of all time at 34%. And if he were to win tonight, he would also be the first driver to win 5 in a row. But of all the records and the things he's most proud of, he told me this week it's how much fun he and his team have had doing it. He said he very much expects this streak to end every time he shows up to the track. But for now, they're riding the success and the enjoyment as far as they can, Adam.
He's just been incredible. I mean, we said it going to break, what can he do? And he's going to be in control on this restart to begin the final stage.
What's amazing about that stat that Carla said is that we never talk about win percentages because it's usually excruciatingly small. But at 34%, we have to talk about it and look at all the drivers who have had issues here already tonight. Is there anybody next?
I mean, Quapple had the loose wheel on that last cycle of stops, was inside the top 10, going to restart outside the top 20. His teammate in charge of the field, outside lane, Connor Zilic. Final stage underway here at Bristol. Allgaier goes in the outside lane. He's trying to come through to second, and he will.
Real power move by Justin Allgaier there in the high side. Kind of lost the lead in that last stage. I get tricked a little bit off the bottom. He said, not this time, I'm going to the top, and Sam Mayer comes back on the bottom, fighting there on the inside.
Look at Taylor Gray. His crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, has won here 4 times at Bristol, and he's saving his best for last. Final stage, he's up to 4th in the 54.
Great run for Taylor Gray. Remember back in the spring how good he was at Martinsville. Was probably a corner away from winning that race. Has a real knack for the short tracks, and this fits in the short track realm. Even though it's incredibly fast, it still is a short track at a half mile, and he's doing a great job here tonight.
We talk about playoff problems. You got to be able to come back if you're going to win a championship. Sheldon Creed, as good as he's been all night long. Not great in qualifying, has the speeding penalty, drives by Brandon Jones, put the 0-0 in 6th. And he needs everything he can get, because you look at our playoff standings as they run. He's right there at the cut line with Harrison Burton, who got all those stage points with Jesse Love, and now they're racing for a spot on track. 13th. Every position a point. Go get it in this final stage.
And what they're looking at ahead of them is getting back into the top 10. So they took that risk in stage 1 to get those stage points. They got them, and now it's taken them a whole nother stage to get back to the top 10. But the goal here for so many of these teams to score 38 points a race, usually on average gets you into the next round of playoffs, and that's what they're aiming for here tonight. That's essentially like finishing 9th in each stage.
Harrison Burton has finished outside the top 10 at Bristol 1 time in his career. He had a host of problems in the spring. That was it. And we celebrated Taylor Gray. He's starting to go in the wrong direction as the climb continues for Sheldon Creed in that 0-0. He's up inside the top 5, and Brandon Jones on the attack in the 20.
I think Taylor Gray got shoved to the outside here, wasn't quite prepared for it, and hasn't found the same amount of speed up top. It's just a little too early in this run right now. When you have the caution, you pick up all the rubber off the bottom. The outside takes a while to come back in. You got to lay that rubber back down on the bottom, heat up the bottom groove, and it allows the outside to then become the prevailing groove.
How about some non-playoff drivers to highlight? William Sawalich, top 10 again, and battling for the 10th position. 16, Christian Eckes, 44. Brennan Poole's been great lately.
That's an awesome run for Brennan Poole. We talked about it with Jeremy Clements, for some of these smaller teams, when we come to Bristol, can have outsized runs just because of the nature of this racetrack. The driver matters a lot, and because it's such a dynamic and tough racetrack, that driver can make a big difference behind the wheel, and that's what he's doing, that 44. An awesome run for them just outside the top 10.
And right behind him, the run continues for Harrison Burton. It was a year ago that we found out Harrison was going to be coming back to the Xfinity Series and driving for AM Racing. He did an interview with Kim in the middle of that race, and he said some things that were very positive and very encouraging, but you were just unsure how realistic they were, because you just didn't think this team was that capable of going out and getting it done. He believed. He went out, surrounded himself with great people, and he was a huge part of the hiring process, and now here they are, not just in the playoffs, but making noise.
I said it earlier today, I think this is one of the coolest stories in the Xfinity Series in 2025. What Harrison Burton has done with AM Racing. You mentioned being a part of the hiring process and how integral he has been to the formation of this team, building it up and making them into playoff contenders that they are. And that's not just what he's doing behind the wheel, but it's what he's doing behind the scenes as well, and how integral he is to those decisions that they're making. He and Danny Eflin have done an awesome job, and this is the start they wanted to the playoffs. They got in by points. It was an absolute battle to the last race, but now they're here and they're rising to the occasion when it matters most.
And you talk about stepping up in the playoffs. 7 playoff drivers inside the top 10 final stage, 9 of them in the top 13. Look at Corey Day making it 3 wide.
Oh!
Wow. Contact, and he hangs on. And he's racing for the free pass. And he's a lap down after he had the issue earlier, trying to get back on the lead lap to make some noise late.
It's never good when you're pointed towards the inside wall, I can tell you that. And then to end up on the apron, it's incredibly hard to rejoin the racetrack without having more problems or running into another car. So great job by him to get away with that. That was intense.
How good are these 3 drivers, 3rd, 4th, and 5th? Allgaier in the 7, 19 Almirola, and we've talked about Creed and that 0 for the Haas factory team.
And Eric Almirola comes in this race as the first in speed rankings this season, although he's just doing a partial season. When he shows up, he's incredibly fast. And we're seeing that again tonight, where he just continues to have the speed in that 19 car and usually is a threat for the win in these races that he shows up.
The winner earlier this year at Phoenix, when ironically enough, he dueled with Justin Allgaier. And he got 2 short track wins last year, getting a season sweep at Martinsville. Going for 3rd right now, and as he drives to the inside, look at Creed, had to back out of it, nowhere to go.
That's what happens here. You get a car in front of you, it kills your momentum, you get all angry at the same time, but you just have to make that decision to back off, otherwise you're gonna basically run into that car and cause a collision, which he didn't want to do, but now trying to use the momentum on the top side to get beside Justin Allgaier.
Now everybody's got a set of tires, but you can run this thing out, which brings in the level of importance of being good on the long run. We've seen some really long runs, final stage at Bristol, and I say that just because I look at what Almirola is doing early in this stage.
And that's a great point, because your race car at this track will go through a ton of transitions on a really long run. You know, above 100 laps is a really long run at Bristol, where you will feel multiple big changes in that race car. You'll see the track change, where at times the bottom will be dominant, then the top will be dominant, and it will shift through the course of the run. You just have to navigate that and adjust to it each and every time. And what you do now early in the run, if you take care of that car, can pay off later. And you might see that when you have some cars that are really fast late.
Just over 90 laps to go. It's the playoff opener in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the intensity is up. Creed getting a piece of Allgaier. Brandon Jones is there. It's Connor Zilic leading.
And back at Bristol Motor Speedway where the yellow is out, we have 2 playoff cars electing to bring their cars down pit road for some adjustments. You see the chassis adjustment on the 7. He felt like he lost total downforce, just really snappy everywhere. Couldn't do anything with his car, so Jim Pullman brought him down. You also see on your right hand of the screen, the 54. They're going to go loose, loose, loose is the feedback from Taylor Gray, so they had to tighten him up if they want to do anything for this last run here at Bristol.
Everybody had a set of tires. We talked about that, and we were talking during the break. You know, you don't give up track position to come here, right? But obviously these drivers did, and you know, Austin Hill, I like what they do here because they had no 100%. Track position, right?
I
only 21
them.
Cars on the lead lap.
He was in 18th essentially and has been there all night. So just do something different. Try and make more adjustments on that race car. Put a newer set of tires on the cars in front of you. That made sense. For Justin Allgaier, 5th. This is a really big move and a big decision to have pitted there with 21 cars in the lead lap to give up all that track position. But they've done this sort of thing to us before and come out the right side. So Jim Pullman obviously felt confident in that decision, and we'll see how it plays out for them.
Allgaier was 5th, Taylor Gray was 8th. They give up that position to pit. Kim mentioned the fact the yellow is out, and the reason why. 5th caution of the evening comes for Daniel Dye, who had a spin. Here's what happened.
Take a look at it here. We hear about loose race cars. Well, here's one in action. Often you fight loose on entry here at Bristol because of the way you load up into the banking of the corners. The front tires getting grip before the rear. You want the car to be loose to help it turn to the center, but not that loose. That's a little bit too much. Just all these cars skirt by. Anthony Alfredo so close to him there, getting clipped by Daniel Dye. But when you spin out here and not hit anything, by the way, that's okay.
Kyle Sieg got the free pass there, so Corey Day stays a lap down. Hey, tomorrow the game of the week is right here on the CW. Number 18 Florida gets number 5 South Florida. Number 18 South Florida gets number 5 Miami in a must-see showdown. Don't miss a second of the action, starting with CW football Saturday countdown tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 Pacific, only on the CW. South Florida quietly getting it done early in the campaign, but a big one tomorrow against a rival in the Miami Hurricanes. Here's some Justin Allgaier radio after the pit stop.
All right, Justin, I know this doesn't feel right, but man, if this thing greens out, we're going to be the only one on tires. It could work out for us here. Just stay with me. Just keep her clean. Copy that.
Hey, when you look at their record at this place, it's hard to argue with anything they do.
It's an interesting decision. I think some of it might have been predicated by the fact that when the 88 of Connor Zilic got to the lead there on that last run, he actually set the fastest lap of the race, 2/10 faster than anyone else has gone in this race, and vaulted out to a pretty big lead in a short amount of time. So possibly it's a thought of, hey, we might not have the race car to beat our teammate there. Let's do something different. He was in 5th. Do they feel like he could probably get back to 5th in all what we have left, 83 laps? Absolutely. So it's sort of, if they get back, not much to lose, and possibly look like heroes if they're faster than the front 4 cars, and especially the 88.
Zilic leading, takes the outside lane. Mayer was 2nd. He too gives up the front row to take the outside lane. So Almirola on the front row here with Zilic. Going to be 82 laps to go as drivers make their way to the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone.
Green flag, green flag.
See that inside line struggle once again of Eric Almirola on the bottom there. Allows Sam Mayer to try and get side by side. It looked like he possibly was going to clear, maybe down here into 3. Not quite as Brennan Jones is looking to the middle. He gets into Sam Mayer and gets him loose off of 4.
A little pushing, a little shoving, and a little driving through for the 20 car. Sheldon Creed is there as well. How about Nick Sanchez? Not great in qualifying, but he has driven his way up close to the top 5.
Really,
teammates side by side here.
Mayer
and Creed.
Great run by Nick Sanchez there to get up here into the top 10. They struggled in stage 1. They struggled in qualifying. Used some strategy. Got to the top 10 in stage 2, and now here in the top 10 in stage 3 as well. Trying to hold on the outside and real loose off of 4.
Look at the bumper. Brennan Poole is 9th, and Harrison Burton back to the top 10. The 25 just continues to get it done.
He's really been committed to the outside lane there as he goes around Brennan Poole. thought about maybe going to the inside there. William Swalwich. William dove to the bottom. He sticks to the outside. That 25 car has really been making great pace up top, even early in the run when it doesn't seem like the top is the place to be.
Can't say enough about Danny Eplin, Harrison Burton, and the way this 25 group has managed races. You touched on it earlier, but they just always seem to find points. And it's that race execution that put them above the cut line at the end of the regular season and trying to take advantage in race one. Look at Eckes in a 16. Able to get around Sanchez for 6th.
We take a look back at Justin Allgaier here as he tries to work back through the field. Up a couple positions already.
Quapple there with him, had to make that extra pit stop on that last cycle when they had the loose wheel, had to come down and tighten it, trying to make comebacks. And keep in mind, every position a point. So as you start thinking about that cut line and how tight it is, not a big deal for Allgaier, who's plus 40. I mean, feel like he's in a great position. But for someone like Quapple, you have got to get all you can. His advantage as they run only 3 points above the cut.
I just can't help but look at all these cars run the different lanes, spreading out in the corners. Quapple gets real close to the back bumper here. Jesse Love. They get together on the straightaway.
Dean Thompson there mixing it up.
Another great run for Dean Thompson, Sam Hunt Racing.
Taylor Gray, just in the back part of your picture, another driver that made a pit stop when the caution came out, came down at 2:14 with Allgaier. And he's trying to make the most of those fresh tires. Going to be 70 laps to go.
If you're Justin right now, you just can't get impatient, right? You know, his crew chief there, Jim Pullman, explained this is going to feel wrong. It's not, not going to feel correct to give up all the track position, but you're going to have newer tires, and that's going to come towards your way as we get later in this run. Right now, it's going to be the hardest time to make up positions. All the cars are close together. They're grouped up on the top lane, but as you run later and later, their tires are going to be older than yours, and hopefully that's where it starts to pay off to be able to make up more positions easier.
And if you're a crew chief in this situation, you got to be part strategist, part cheerleader. And Jim Pullman is great at that. And the fact that these two have won a championship together and been through so much together, they couldn't have more respect and more trust in one another.
And Justin's talked about that.
Absolutely.
That he absolutely trusts, and he gives a lot of credit to their success in his championship to Jim Pullman and how he thinks about racing, how hard he works. When he told us this week, he said, I've never seen anyone work so hard at trying to go racing and be fast week in and week out. He obviously has a ton of faith in Jim Pullman.
And they know if they're going to repeat as champions, they're not going to win it here tonight. I mean, you just have to find a way to advance, and I love watching them work and how they put it all together. Look at this, Eric Almirola. You talk about long run speed. In the springtime, Zilich fell off big time late in the race from 6th, didn't even finish in the top 10. Tonight he leads, but his rear view mirror full of Almirola, one of the great veterans who's going for his 2nd win of the season.
It's the first time we're really seeing the leaders be all up top here as we've gotten so much rubber laid down on this track. For Eric Almirola, that makes this pass incredibly tough. You get a little bit of aero disturbance when you get close to the 88 up top. You have to be so pinpoint perfect when you run the top side of this racetrack, especially down in 1 and 2. It's easy to jump the cushion essentially and get into the wall the way this racetrack is designed, and when they ground it, it's made it a really interesting lineup there where you have to just be so perfect where you place the right side of that race car. 1 inch too far to the right, and you might find yourself right in the wall.
Allgaier Racing Love for 12th gets the position. You look at the top 2, and right behind them, Brandon Jones in the 20, Dylan.
Yeah, and they qualified 22nd, which was a huge disappointment for he and crew chief Sam McCauley. They felt like they had a car that was capable of winning this race. We're going to have to do some work on it to try to get it better in traffic. They've chipped away at it, but the biggest thing that they've had going for them has been their pit crew tonight. Gave them 6 spots at the end of stage 2, and now has got them in track position to be able to contend for a win. By the way, we told you at the show about collecting their debts and how Brandon was going to be more aggressive in the playoffs. I think you saw that there when he was racing Sam Mayer. It's time to go. You got to take more than you give in the playoffs, and the 20 knows that because they've got a car that can win this race.
Great speed tonight, and the next playoff race in 2 weeks' time on CW, Kansas, where Brandon Jones has been to victory lane. Connor Zilich leading, 59 to go. Inside of 50 laps to go. Bristol Motor Speedway, NASCAR Xfinity Series, playoff opener. Connor Zilich leading Eric Almirola and Brandon Jones. And things getting really dicey as they manage lap traffic and we get near the end of this race.
As Joe Grip's racing duo is trying to run down and put some pressure here on Connor Zilich. It got real close a couple laps ago off of turn 4 through some traffic. Eric Almirola almost to the inside of Connor Zilich, but he got stuck behind that traffic they were working through and had to work his way back to the back bumper here of the 88s. They're all up top right now. And when you're running behind the car in front of you like Eric Almirola is watching the 88, you're just looking for little weaknesses, a slide off of each corner, possibly going a little too high in the middle of either turn 3 and 4 or 1 and 2, looking for that tiny little bit of mistake to allow you to pounce or using traffic as a pick.
You know, you look at Connor Zilich, and we talk so much about what a remarkable rookie campaign he has had 4 wins in a row coming into tonight. Third driver to get 4 in a row. First to do it, Sam Ard, 1983. He nearly got 6 in a row because he wins 4 in a row. He was second in the next race and then won the race after that. And the last time it happened, 2022, from Junior Motorsports, Noah Gregson was able to pull it off. No driver has ever won 5 in a row in the history of the Xfinity Series, and Connor Zilisch is 40 laps away from doing it, and if he pulls it off tonight, he's going to earn it at Bristol because Almirola is there, and he is doing everything he can to rattle this 19-year-old.
He will definitely have to earn it here. And describe how tough this is, what these drivers are doing, running up next to the wall. And talk about how it's an inch-by-inch difference of where you place that race car, as it being too high and you end up in the wall, or too low and you don't quite maximize the speed of the corner when you're running up high like this. And if you look at Eric Almirola, when he gets close to the 88, he'll sort of peak a little bit lower on the entry, just trying to put a little bit of air on that nose of that race car. It gets a little hotter as with cautions out.
Look at this, 6th caution of the night. Carson Ware in the 07.
Stay right there.
He was outside the top 30. Look at our bumper and all the blue there. 8 of the top 10 playoff drivers. You tighten the field. Allgaier has been able to drive back to 10th. Is there still some good in those tires? And will a restart here open the door for him? And could we get some pit stops from some of these guys inside of 40 to go? It's just that balance of track position and tires. 21 cars on the lead lap.
Possibly what they were looking for in the 7, to have this chance to use those tires. If these others decide to pit, as we see the 88 crew potentially getting ready.
I look at the drivers 5th and 6th. Creed had the speeding penalty. Quapple had an extra stop. They've been able to battle back nicely. Got to do it. I mean, you don't want to make mistakes ultimately, but if you make them, you got to be able to forget and recover in the playoffs. And Marty Lindley, the crew chief for the 88 team, been so successful this year. Top to bottom, that this race team has delivered with all the driver and crew chief combinations. Zilisch injured at Texas, and the team wins with Larson. Dale Jr. filling in for Lindley at Pocono, and they win.
Looks like Carson was already pretty sideways there, possibly a little bit of a bump from Sam Mayer. That's often when we see some of these incidents at Bristol with lead lap cars trying to make their way through lap cars. It gets very congested.
Almost 90 laps since these drivers have been on pit road. They're running up front. Everybody's got a set of tires in the top 10, with the exception of Justin Allgaier, who made that pit stop at lap 214. Look at this.
Oh.
Come down and get some tires. Shot fake. Mayer stays out, so does Almirola. Here they are. Brandon Jones is in, Dylan.
Yeah, so they felt like they were a little bit too free out of the rubber. Brandon's basically having to run as high as he can on the racetrack just to try to keep the back of the car in the racetrack. They'll change 4 tires here and add fuel as well for Brandon Jones. And Harrison Burton in as well on the right of the screen. He's just been battling a little bit of a tight condition in the 25, Kim.
And for the 00, just free in, tight center, free off has been the complaint for Sheldon Creed. They will take 4 fresh Goodyear tires and a splash of Sunoco fuel. You see the 88 there on the right of your screen. Marty Lindley said, come down pit road. Connor said he lacked a little bit of lateral grip. Otherwise, it fired off good, so just minor adjustment there.
Zilisch going to win the race off pit road. 8 cars stay out. Various levels of tire wear, and some more aggressive in their move to stay out than others. Almirola, I thought for sure he's coming. Mayer says it's good for him, it's good for me. And Mayer does that with his teammate Sheldon Creed tucked up right behind him. 00 continues down and gets his service. Going to get a restart right around 30 to go. This is going to be wild.
Yeah, I just love this move to do something different, right? If you follow the leader, you'll follow the leader potentially. But for these drivers that were running behind the 88, making that decision to just stay out and see if this will work out for them to have the track position, I like the call.
You know, we played college football here at Bristol before, Virginia Tech, Tennessee. Big one tomorrow on CW, Miami and South Florida.
Well, it's pretty quiet here right now, but tomorrow night, jam-packed inside Hard Rock Stadium, South Florida. The darlings of college football to start this season, coming in to take on the Hurricanes. Can they do it again?
Yeah, they're feeling pretty good coming in here with 2 huge wins. They have a dynamic, fast-paced offense that's been giving teams problems, but they're facing a Miami team where defense is their thing. You got Ruben Bain, who's such a game wrecker. He's going to cause problems all day long, but it should be exciting in the Sunshine State tomorrow.
Cannot wait. Join us at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. CW Football Saturday Countdown. Can't wait.
It's going to be awesome. Tune in tomorrow on the CW. Another fun CW Sports Saturday. And now we get our race break, brought to you by Safe Light, the auto glass experts. And we go back to the early portion of this race. Sammy Smith, engine problems, has to take it to the garage. He's going to record a 37th place finish.
Really unfortunate. You see the smoke there coming out of that engine. It was terminal for them. This is the second engine for Junior Motorsports we've seen expire in the last 2 weeks. It was the one car, Carson Quapple last week, Sammy Smith this week.
Came in 4 points above the cut line and finds himself 23 below. As we think ahead to race 2 in the opening round of the playoffs, it'll come your way at Kansas 2 weeks from tomorrow. Off next week is the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We come your way from Kansas. Each and 8 drivers stay out. Eric Almirola, the control vehicle, goes high. Sam Mayer goes with him. Front row, Carson Quapple on the restart. And Allgaier back in the top 5 here for the restart.
It has worked out for him to have the best tires of those cars in front of him. You do have the looming new tires back there on row 4 of Connor Zilich. And Sam Mayer choosing to go to the top once again in row 2 and not take the inside on the front row. You've seen him do that all night.
How patient can you be here if you're Connor Zilich? Restart 30 to go. Much fresher tires, restarting on the inside lane. It's got to be a delicate balance for him.
It is, but you got to go. You know, you saw there with Justin Allgaier, even when he had newer tires back in 16th, he wasn't making serious headway quickly until it started to get later in the run. So you've got to be aggressive and try to get those spots early.
Carson Quapple's dad, Travis, won here in a truck in 2003. Went on to win the championship. He's on the front row with Almirola. Here they are in the Echo Park Automotive restart zone. 30 to go at Bristol.
Bye.
Great restart there by Carson Quapple. Approached the restart zone pretty quickly. Eric Almirola waited, but he's able to slot in a second, trying to clear the 41 of Sam Mayer.
Mayer looking outside. Taylor Gray a part of the mix. Allgaier is there.
Oh! Sam's in the wall.
Watch Connor Zilich, that white 88.
Oh, there's a tire rub on the left front there for Sam Mayer. That was from the one right rear as they got into each other going on the front stretch, and the 41 went in the wall. Oh,
look at
Justin Allgaier sideways off the nose of Jeff Burton.
Zilich trapped right now in that bottom lane behind the 54 of Taylor Gray. Almirola leads, 28 laps to go. We're on board Jesse Love free falling. He was 16th. And look at Zilich shoving his way through on those fresher tires. And here comes Creed. He said, you're not aggressive enough. 0 trying to make a play. He too's got the fresh tires. Harrison Burton is there. One racing with 26 to go. There goes Gray. Caution is out.
Wow, and he doesn't get into the 42 as hard as I thought he would there. Anthony Alfredo got in the wall. Christian Eckes did as well, trying to avoid the 54 of Taylor Gray sliding up the racetrack.
Getting a report, it was a flat tire for the 2 of Jesse Love.
And what a break for them to have that caution come out before he got to pit road.
This feels like a broken record every time you come to Bristol. You can have a calm night, but you just get one caution, and then it's mayhem, the chaos that is Bristol Motor Speedway. We see it every time we come here.
And that's what precipitated all this, was just the chaos of cars on different tires, different agendas, trying to just simply get a space on the racetrack, hitting into each other as you get more aggressive on these late race restarts.
When we go green again, we'll have 22 cars on the lead lap, free pass. goes to Corey Day. Updated standings, 25 to go as they run. Zilich at plus 85, 7th on track. Allgaier plus 57. Mayer having a great night. But I go back around the cut line, and we talk about every position on track as a point. Burton at plus 9, Creed plus 6, Gray at plus 6. And look at Jesse Love with 16th, has the tire issue. He's fallen below the cut line, and he's right there with his teammate. You know, Austin Hill plays strategy, running as good right now as they have all night long in that 21 camp.
Let's take a look at some of all this that happened on the restart here. So that's Connor Zilich and Harrison Burton. Then you see Jeb Burton getting the 0-0. Taylor Gray bounces off of Jeb, gets sideways. There's the 42 of Anthony Alfredo, hard to the outside wall, trying to avoid Taylor Gray. And this is 3 or 4 cars all trying to be in the same space.
You know who really impressed me? Is Sheldon Creed. And the driver that we were going to focus on the tires was going to be Zilich. But man, Creed was really aggressive on that restart going through traffic.
And we saw Carson Kvapil do the same thing to Sam Mayer at the beginning of the restart, off of 4, sort of tried to clear himself. It's the same thing as Sheldon Creed here. He just tried to move up. He wasn't clear. Jeb Burton was there. Jeb bounces off the wall, which then bounces into the 54 of Taylor Gray. And it's really just the game of inches you have here at Bristol. As you see, Sheldon Creed thought he might be clear. Jeb Burton had the momentum off the top side. He didn't react quick enough. Being Sheldon crunches him to the wall, and that causes him to bounce, for Jeb to bounce in the 54.
This is Jesse Love. Still under green, but this is the tire going down. And
this is what I was referencing on the front stretch. Carson Kvapil did the exact same thing that Sheldon Creed did to Jeb Burton. Got away with it a little bit cleaner.
How about Carson Kvapil? Hasn't won a race. Was second here in the springtime. I rewind to last year. He makes his debut in the series at Martinsville, finishes top 5, goes to Bristol, finishes second. You're like, this guy is magic. But a lot of bumps in the road this year, in position for his first career win. And now Harrison Burton, 9th, as we anticipate the choose before this restart.
Not sure where these guys think they're going. Splitting the middle and I mean, damn.
Now 20 was being aggressive with it. Jeb was hanging on for dear life, and he jumped the cushion up there, and that's what put you guys 3, and then they just ran out of room.
Let's get a report from Kim.
Yeah, you see the 54 of Taylor Gray on pit road. They'll work to clearance. That right front is what they're specifically doing. They will change all 4 tires. When I talked to Taylor earlier today, he said he was just looking for a pedestrian day, wanted to hopefully score maybe 35 or more points. He would like to have left here plus 30 to the cut line. That's not going to be the case. Points as they run currently falls below that cut line. You see the 2 of Jesse Love back in. They were dealing with right side tire issues.
You want to create separation. A lot of playoff drivers in position to do it tonight, but these cautions late, the damage could compromise their opportunity to do so. I got right now 13 points separating 5th to 11th on the playoff standings board.
And for Jesse Love here, you know, with the unfortunate tire going down, you go back to that risk they took in stage 1 to get stage points. You'd be pretty thankful for that move right now. And that's why you take those risks. If they're on offer and you think you can get them, you take points like they did. And that gives you the little bit of wiggle room when you have an issue like this.
It's so stressful for these drivers. And it's stressful for the crew chiefs as well, because there's just a ton of pressure. And you know the margins you're dealing with are slim. We talk in a couple of weeks, we'll be racing at Kansas. The elimination race in the round of 12 at the Charlotte Roval. That's a wild card. We know anything can happen there. We get the choose. Almirola goes outside. Kvapil takes the front row. It'll be Mayer, Allgaier, row 2. Look back there, row 4. Zilich does take the outside lane. Creed on the inside lane on those fresher tires in row 3.
We got to look here. What we think might have cut down the tire here for Jesse Love. He's on the inside of Christian Atkins. Williams Wallace 3 wide. That tap right there could have been the culprit. of cutting down that tire for the two, Jesse Love, and it's just those smallest moments that can have big ramifications on your night.
18 laps to go when we get the green flag. So much on the line for all those drivers up front. And I would be willing to put some money on the line. We could see the yellow flag again before it's over. Green again at Bristol.
Another great restart by Carson Kvapil. Some of the best that we've seen on the bottom all night. Can he stay side by side with Eric?
19 out front. Mayer coming through in the outside lane. Look at the 27, Jeff Burton hustling out there. Zilich right behind him.
Kvapil got pretty loose off a 2 there and then was able to concede the position to Sam Mayer off a 4.
3 wide. Zilich gets by. Crosses over to the inside. He's on those fresher tires and in front of Creed, who also got fresh rubber at that caution not long ago.
That was a great move by him. As you saw Jeff Burton get super sideways. He's just hanging on right now, trying to hold off these cars on newer tires.
Creed not going away. Kvapil doing a great job in third. Mayer trying to out Almirola at the front.
Creed threw a slider there on the right side, down into 1 in front of the 88, clears himself up the track.
15 laps to go, 14 this time around. Mayer is there.
Get it. 14 to go.
You think about the role these two have played on the short tracks in the last 2 years. Mayer, a couple of wins at Iowa. Almirola, 2 wins at Martinsville. And they're at the front. Playoff standings are in. You see the advantages there. I think about Kvapil, who's right there. Plus 19 is great, but he wants to win and advance. So does Mayer looking to the inside.
And Eric saw the run that Sam Mayer had a lap ago on the top side. He moved the top. That forced Sam to try and use the bottom right now. Didn't quite work for him. He might want to try and move up and then try and turn down to get that run down the hill.
12 laps to go. Anybody's guess who's going to win it at Bristol.
You see Sam Mayer turns down a little bit earlier, just sort of diming in the corner, trying to cut that distance down to get closer to Eric, to put more pressure on him.
Your early diamond down there, straight on exit.
10 to go. Almirola, Mayer, Kvapil, Creed, Zilich, the top 5. Keep in mind, too, Zilich has the win streak going for 5 in a row, but tonight would get him 15 consecutive top 5s, and that would match Sam Art for the most all time, and he's trying to get his teammate for 4th. Creed up to 3rd in the running order. He's never won in an Xfinity car. And he's in a great position here should Mayer and Almirola get together. 8 laps left at Bristol.
We've seen it before when cars are this close at Bristol. There's a Hail Mary move by that second place car at times. It's on offer, especially when that lead car is on the high side. There's a lot of racetrack down to the bottom.
Historically, Joe Gibbs Racing has been outstanding at Bristol. They've won here 13 times.
It looks as we move to the top side, but all the leaders have gone to the top. Eric's car is really starting to come in and sort of stretch that gap just a little bit from Sam. You saw him turning down earlier. He's continuing to do that, trying to just diamond that corner a little bit to get that run off of the corners.
You think about Eric Almirola, running part-time, veteran driver, so much success at all levels of NASCAR, but he's not just a driver for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's someone that works with their younger drivers. He's been a tremendous asset for the coach. And look at Sheldon Creed reeling him in. Fresher tires for the 00. Right side of your screen, Harrison Burton up to 6th. Or trying to get it away from Justin Allgaier.
Sheldon's been the fastest car on the racetrack the last couple of laps, almost 2/10 faster than the leaders that last time by. But running out of time here, he's going to have to make quick work of his teammate if he wants to take a shot at Eric Almirola.
3 laps to go. Creed, 14 career runner-up finishes. He's never been to victory lane in an Xfinity car. 2nd here last year. 2 laps left at the short track.
He's going to shoot to the bottom, trying to get side by side with his teammate.
Through turns 3 and 4. We'll see the white flag this time around. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
He threw a slider here earlier. He didn't do it that time, but he might clear him in a second.
Creed to second. Is there enough time? Driving down below Almirola, coming to the checkers. Creed is there, but it's Almirola who wins it at Bristol.
Over my man.
Creed with his 15th.
My goodness, great job. What a race car when the line came in that we needed. Woo! Finally, back to victory lane where you guys deserve. Thank you guys so much. Praise.
That is a hell of an effort by Sheldon Creed there. He'd used that slider move to get to third, tried it on his teammate, and then drove down to 3 and 4 as hard as he could. Just couldn't quite get there, ran out of time. His 15th second place finish for Sheldon Creed.
But a huge night when you think about points. And not that that's a consolation prize, but this team continues to build stock in the organization. And you look at Eric Almirola, it's his 9th career win, 2nd time he's done it this year. Got it done in dramatic fashion at Phoenix early in 2025. Mayer ends up 3rd, Quapple was 4th, Connor Zilic 5th. That's his 15th consecutive top 5 finish, and that matches Sam Ard for the most all-time in series history. Mentioned Almirola not running full-time, but that 19 eligible for the Owners' Championship, so this win's significant for them in that regard. Years old from Tampa, Florida.
And he mentioned that top line coming in. That's what they designed that race car for. And it really did come to them there late in the race. That became the dominant line. He was able to just stretch that lead enough to hold off those Haas factory team cars.
6 playoff drivers end up inside the top 10. Harrison Burton, the big stage points, comes home 7th. The gamble for Allgaier, basically, you know, it's a push, right? I mean, you don't know what would have happened if they hadn't made the pit stop when they did, and a lot went on in between. But he ends up 6th. Pretty good start to a run at a repeat for Justin Allgaier. And here come the kids. Alex, the first there to greet him. I didn't see Alex before the race on the pit lane. I thought maybe he was off playing baseball
right?
somewhere this weekend.
That's cool, and I know with all that Eric has accomplished in this sport, still winning at Bristol night race, it's just such a cool feeling.
Well, when you're 41 and you've been around the block as many times as he has, you know to appreciate every moment. We've seen it the last couple of years when he's pulled into victory lane, and I'm sure we'll see it again tonight. Here's Dylan Welch.
Try and wade my way through all of these people down here. Crew Chief Seth Chofka is here to congratulate his guys and his driver on what was a masterful drive by this veteran of the sport. And there's Seth in to give a hug and a handshake. And as Eric gets the helmet off, so I want to ask you about that last pit stop, because I'm hearing that the team told you to do whatever the 88 did, and you did something different. Was that your call, or whose decision was that ultimately maybe won you the race?
Yeah, I just been tired of getting beat by those guys. I figured I'd try my chances with the lead. You know, they've been so fast, and they fire off so fast on new tires, and I just didn't think that I could beat them straight up on new tires. It took me about 20 laps to get going, so I thought my best chance was to stay out on old tires. And we watched, Seth and I watched, I don't know, the last 2 or 3 races here, and we saw where the 9 car with Noah Gregson won with like 100 laps on his tires. So I decided to stay out when they said pit. But in all seriousness, this has been a heavy week. And I've just thought a lot about this week, and I have an incredible opportunity here to represent Young Life and so many kids that give their life to Jesus Christ because of Young Life. This race car's got JD Gibbs' name on it, and JD played such a pivotal part in my life, not just my career, but my life. And we've shared a lot of stories about JD over the years, and this is just so cool to get this car to victory lane with his name on it. So, yeah, this is pretty awesome. I can't wait to celebrate with my team and my guys and my family, and I just want to make sure that all the praise and glory goes to God.
Well said. We'll let you go celebrate. Eric Almirola wins at Bristol.
We know he's great behind the wheel, but Dylan referenced that gutsy move to stay on track, not pit. With right around 40 laps to go, and the track position paid off.
And when we talk about doing your homework and preparation, that's what it leads to.
Eric Almirola saved his best for last, leading 34 laps, and he's celebrating a Friday night win in Bristol, Tennessee.